Ripple CEO has just said that the US is the only country that crypto startups should avoid, and that he thinks that the US should follow in the footsteps of Singapore, the UK, the UAE and Switzerland with their smart crypto policies. And so in this video, we're going to find out more. Today's episode is sponsored by Cake Wallet, where you can send, receive and even exchange your crypto right from within the wallet. Cake Wallet is open source and non-custodial, so you control your own private keys. Available today on iOS, macOS, Android and Linux. Good evening everybody and welcome back to another episode of Enter Crypto, where every single day I keep you informed and fully up to date on all things crypto. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then like, subscribe and click on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any future updates. Now today we're going to be talking about the US and a gentleman called Brad Garlinghouse. If you don't know, then he's the Ripple CEO, and he basically is going through a big court case with the SEC, which is a regulator in the US. And so it's really not surprising that he's unhappy with the US. But even having said that, he does make a good point, and he actually is praising Singapore, the UK, the UAE and Switzerland, and trying to highlight that they have these smart crypto policies, as he's calling it, and that he basically thinks that the US should follow suit and try to adopt these more crypto-friendly policies. Now, as always, guys, we're going to quickly read through the article and then we'll comment after. So the US is one of, if not the worst, place to launch a crypto startup in the world right now, according to Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, whose firm is in a legal battle with the US SEC. The only country I would not encourage you to start a company right now is in the US, Garlinghouse said on September the 12th panel at Token 2049 in Singapore. The Ripple boss wants the US to take note from the likes of Singapore, the UK, the UAE, Switzerland by enacting policies that encourage crypto innovation whilst protecting consumers. Garlinghouse pointed the blame at the SEC, claiming it was engaging in a political war with the industry with its lawsuits. That lawsuit strategy isn't working, said Garlinghouse, and claimed Ripple and Grayscale's court wins over the SEC may suggest the court's mood is turning in the industry's favour. I think you're seeing the momentum shift. I think that it used to be that a lot of judges were like, well, the SEC is always right, and they weren't fighting that. But I think you're starting to see the pattern change. And while the outcomes in Ripple and Grayscale aren't legally binding, Garlinghouse said the results provide more clarity to crypto exchanges and custody providers operating in the US, at least for now. OKEx President Hong Fang acknowledged the policies at play, but stressed for crypto firms to focus on what they can control. We can only control what we can control, which is to build the right product and to focus on the tech and to support responsible regulation. Despite the US being a big market for Ripple, Garlinghouse said it's expanding services to countries he claims are more progressive and better understand the potential benefits of blockchain tech. Now, during the panel, Fang said he thinks investors may not be ready for custody solutions built around a prospective spot Bitcoin ETF, because much of the new blockchain-based infrastructure hasn't been battle-tested by the masses. I think there's a huge implication on custody. The question I have on my mind is whether our industry is actually ready for it, he said. Fang acknowledged a spot Bitcoin ETF will lead to more institutional inflows, but isn't convinced that investors can now stomach Bitcoin's volatility and second-guess the readiness of continuing to build more applications on top of Bitcoin. We're actually creating something that is new, that we can build on top of a new monetary system that hasn't come to fruition yet, Fang said. So I don't know whether we're ready for that yet from an industry infrastructure perspective. And we are seeing a shift, it seems, in the judges and in the court systems sort of opinion on crypto, in that they are kind of we're maybe not winning cases, but we're certainly being heard more than we were before. And like he says in this article, that before a judge would just kind of assume that the SEC was right because they kind of had a more moral standing of chasing out any scams and stuff like that, and that was their kind of reason for being. But I think as people are learning, and as the courts are learning, and just the general public the public in general are learning that crypto is not some kind of shady thing, and it's not for criminals and for everything that you hear. It's actually for people to use. It's the first time in history that people have actually had control of their own money, and that a government is not able to seize it. A government, like they can with your bank accounts. It's really the power, financial power, has been transferred from the governments that decide how many euros or how many pounds or dollars are in circulation. All those decisions now have been transferred to the person or the individual, which is very, it's a big power shift. And the really great thing about this as well is that if the SEC see that the opinion of the courts is changing over the long term, then they're going to be disincentivized to actually go to court for some of the reasons that they are. Some of the reasons are just ridiculous, in my opinion, especially things like, with Coinbase. How everybody's trying to talk to the SEC. Everybody wants to well, not everybody, but most people, and certainly Coinbase, want to comply with the SEC. But they don't know what the regulations, because the SEC won't tell them. And then they pay sort of dirty tricks by not telling them and then suing them after. That's just, in my opinion, that's wrong. And so going forward, if the SEC feels like they're not going to win the case, then obviously they're not going to go to court and spend the money just to lose. So it's a big disincentive for them to chase things that just, rather than it being a scam or damaging to people, which is what they should be doing, they're just going after people that they just don't like. So another great article there. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notifications bell if you got some value from this video. And I'll see you all tomorrow.